All right, part two. Pick back up. Pick back up off of, I guess, where we left off from. All right, so I'm with Allie, and we're on our way to the party, which was pretty far away. I naturally assumed that they would throw the party like at the big, metropolitan city. So I figured they would throw the party somewhere in the city. But yeah, no, it's far away. So we're flying. We're flying for a good time now, and I think we picked up Tanya on the way somewhere. Not sure, but anywho, like we're flying and we're coming across like I'm seeing like different groups. I was seeing like different groups of people like training, like sparring, hell, fighting. Like it was pretty cool to see. Oh, another thing to note, like it's cool, and the DM pointed this out. It's cool that in the city areas there's things that are different. Like they have passageways and pathways for people who can fly. Like for instance, like how we have roadways and walkways, they'll have that also. But then they'll also have pathways for people who can fly. Like it's kind of cool to be in a city that I guess things are kind of created, you know, with you in mind as well. Because we're from Earth, and Earth don't really have that because most of the humans, are human and they can't fly, so they don't really care about that stuff. So yeah, and as well as we're flying, we're seeing like these monuments, like I knew I was gonna fucking forget what the hell this thing was called. Like like the mountainside. What's the mountainside called, fellas? That has the four presidents engraved into it. I'm drawing the blank, but anywho, um, like there's multiple different ranges with like people carved into them. And one of my missions is kind of like to find out the history to figure out who they are, things of that nature. Like find out things about the people who were great enough to have their face edged and carved into the stones in the mountain of the Crystal Dynasty, or in the Crystal Dynasty, basically. So, yeah, so we file past a couple of them, and as we come up on one, we're actually going to one, and this one seems kind of a little cooler in the sense of like it's like there's like dying like kind of like areas like chiseled out, like sculpted out in it, so you can come down like have like I can't remember the terminology, but you can kind of go to these places and have like events almost there. So we go down to one. The cool thing is once you get to one, if y'all can hear that siren, that's welcome to Philadelphia. No, it's a fire truck. But once we get to our destination, there's these guys who are they're like security. So they kind of like fly up and scan you to make sure that you have access to the party. And so they fly up, we get scanned, whatever. And we all have access to the party because we them boys. You know what I'm saying? Well, basically we're them people because there's more girls than guys in my group. Um. So yeah. So we get there. So another guy flies up that's not with us, and he flies up. He's kind of like kind of hype a little bit, and he fly up. And I look at like the girls, and I'm like, hey, like, hold on for a second, because something in me told me that he wasn't gonna get denied. So he got denied into access to the party, and they wasn't rude or nothing. Like the guys who scanned them, they were just like, hey, like like unfortunately, you don't have access to this, but you can enjoy the other festivities, blah blah blah. And he was about to start something, but as he like balled up or clenched his fist or something, like 10 other guys showed up, like like just flew up, and he was like, all right, all right. I'm like, he chilled out. So, shit, it's gonna be a part three. I'm about to be home. So, we go in to the party. Um, and as we go in, Tiny sees us, so she starts heading over. As soon as Tiny says something, like as soon as Tiny starts walking over, Ali, Ali says, "I'm gonna go get us something. I'm gonna go to the bar get us something to drink." Because she's pretty much ducking Tiny basically in their crazy relationship. So she leaves. I bust up with Tiny. Tiny trying to give me the drink. I'm telling Tiny like I never really drunk before. I'm not trying to start the bad habit. We all need to be on alert. She gives me like the whole speech of like we like like we're the least people that if somebody comes and trying to do something, nobody needs to worry about us. They gotta go through all these other like heavy hitters first. So I'm like, yeah, nah, it's okay. So I excused myself kind of from Tiny. She's about to go to the bar to get drinks, but I head over because I see Rain sitting by himself. Oh, excuse me. So I go over there and I start talking. I go over there and and bust up with Rain and have a good conversation with Rain. That something I've never done before really. Like Rain pretty much I guess he knows of me because of the Dreamcast, as well as he knows of me because I train with one of his or I help train or train with one of his students, JBJ. So there was some really good darn it, there was parking spaces on my block. There was some really good conversations going on. Or conversation going on between me and Rain. Um, it was like a little verbal spar, and I was because I asked him about him being a 3G general basically, and he was like, no, he's not like one of the basically like one of the mindless people that Nairobi trained and led. He trained Nairobi, so I was basically expressing to him like I'm happy that he told me that I'm finding that out now because it would have been a little bit. It might have added on to the intimidation factor that's already there for me to walk over just to have this conversation with him. So once once that happened, after I had that like we had that conversation, he told me like don't back away from a spar, even a verbal spar, and that hit home to me because like as we're having this conversation, I'm I think Rain's getting a better understanding of the type of person I am and how serious I take what I do, my training, and being a warrior. I think he starts to pick that up. So our verbal spar of just us having a conversation might lead might lead to benefit me some shape, form, or fashion, or if needed, he might feel like he can lean on me if he ever really needs something. He might feel like he can lean on me because he knows that I'm serious about what I do. So that happens. He also made the statement that he's pretty sure that Locke doesn't just give away swords. So he's pretty sure that he gave me that sword knowing like with not knowing anything, but like because he thought I was worthy of it, but also like he has his own reasons behind it. He has his own reasons behind it. So um yeah, I made it to my stop. So this is part two. I'm going to get to part three, which will be picking up after my rain conversation.